Okay, listen close. All eyes on me. No one talk. No one talk. Everybody look up. Okay. Want to make sure I'm helping you understand how this process works. So anytime something doesn't make sense, always ask. Always. Like if you got to spend time after school, come after school, we just talk about it. Focus heavily on improving test to test. For example, it's a really good example of where if you came to this problem on this practice test, I would hope that if you ended up missing the problem, you'd go back to the previous practice test and you'd say, hey, wait a minute, let's see if there was something I should have learned from practice test 1 that I didn't quite learn. It's no big deal, just got to find what it is. You would find a problem on practice test 1 that is nearly identical. Nothing today. Thank you, Helen. You would find a problem that is nearly identical to this on practice test 1. So that's where you guys say, okay, dang, I should have caught that. I should have been able to, leverage what I learned from one practice test to the next. It's a limit problem, so you should be thinking golden notes, the limit box right here. And the first step says if x is approaching infinity, so we're not doing that, so skip that step. Go right to factor and divide. So back to here. Factor and divide. Always use the equal sign. Equal is the key to almost everything on the AP test. Everything. So I can pull out an x cubed. The whole point is to factor and divide. So I'm going to separate these. 2x cubed plus 6. And on the bottom, I'm hoping to be able to pull out an x cubed. I can. That's exactly what I would hope. This would be 4x squared plus 3. Anyone need extra conversation to that point? Please. 2 points for Christine. Somebody answered this question, I'll pay you. It is totally legal to remove a 2 from the numerator. There's a reason why I chose not to. The idea is to divide, factor and divide. We're looking for division to 1, always, 2 points. So even though legal, it doesn't help, because I can't divide a 2 from the bottom. So. There we go. Okay, now what's left is to remember what limit means. As we've said all year long, key to the AP test is the big ideas, not the little ideas. If you understand the big ideas, the little things are easy, okay? Student in another class gave a good representation of this. I've heard this before. Talked about the idea that if you take a jar, I think you've heard this, and you have a pile of rocks, and you have a cup of sand. If you put the sand in first, it's nearly impossible to get the rocks into the jar. If you put the rocks in first, the sand just flows around the rocks and it fills up the jar nicely. It's exactly the same for this class. If you have the big ideas, the little things will come easily. It's when you try to do it the other way around. Like you just keep saying, I'll worry about the big ideas later. Give me the steps. I got to get my homework done. Like Mr. Recke was helping a neighbor friend of his who's taking calculus from a different teacher. To me, that's the problem this person is taking. And he's not going to do well on the AP test unless he just works like crazy. He's focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on the big ideas first, then worry about the steps. So anyway, question, please.
When it comes to using, is it that guy's rule, the 4th step? What is that called again?
Yeah, it's like when you're hurt, you go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So the hospital's rule, yeah.
Yeah. So I think there was another problem in the packet that might have used it, but when I came to it, I got stumped. Or maybe it's not even used in that situation, but could you maybe show a situation where?
I think there's actually one in here. I don't remember for sure. We'll go through real quick in a second. We good to hear? For Thomas? Okay, so the big idea of limit is simple. Here's a formula. What value will that formula produce when x is almost 0? Not equal to 0, but almost. When x is almost 0, this is not almost 1. This is exactly 1. Exactly 1, no error at all. But when x is almost 0, Let's do hands. What's this going to be when x is almost 0? Hands up. Let's go, Cameron.
8.
2 points, but no. Luke.
6.
6. Because when x is almost 0, this is going to be almost 0 as well. So it really will be almost 6. Like, it won't be exactly 6. This will be exactly 1. This will be almost 6. How many knew it? Point 2 for Luke. Question. What's this? Oh, please, Jonah.
I'll ask a question after.
What's the black going to be when x is almost 0? Jess? Almost 3. How many knew it? Points. We're done. Limit is 2. Question. 2 points for Janessa. Jonah.
Wait. Okay, never mind. Let's do the next
You're
level.
good. 2 points for asking. Thomas.
I think the question that it might be is 14, or it
14?
might just be a really similar problem to this.